Dressed in all black biking at 1 a.m. So this happened to me about a year and a half ago. It was the summer of my senior year of high school, and about a month before I was headed off to college. I was hanging out with my two friends, Riley and Luke, and one of their sisters, Rachel, who was 1 year younger than us, at about 1 a.m. This was going on when Pokemon Go was in all its hype, and Riley and Luke would do anything to level up. Basically, for those who don't know what Pokemon Go is, it's a tracking system game that requires you to use your phone's GPS to go to real live locations to collect Pokemon, supply, and other necessities as well. Now, we live in a very safe neighborhood, so when Riley and Luke wanted to go retrieve supplies, I decided to come with. I drove to my friend's house, but the supplies were about 1 mile away, so we decided to bike over. Rachel wanted to come with, because she knew the time she had with her boyfriend before he left for college was diminishing. So us four biked over to the supplies. Rachel and I did not have the game installed, so when we arrived at the supplies, we did not have anything to do. Rachel waited about 15 minutes before she decided to bike back home. I decided to come with nothing else better to do. We took the side roads back, which did not have any streetlights, so I led the way. We are about 1 minute into the ride, when I hear Rachel start pedaling as fast as she can. She passes me not saying anything, but she is quite obviously unnerved. I'm confused and don't know what's going on, so I look behind me to see why she sped up. I see a man covered in all black on a bike with no lights about 10 yards from me. I freak out and pedal my ass off to catch up to Rachel. We take the first right in order to lose him. We look back to see if he's following us. This is when we notice not only is he following us, but he started to speed up as well. We start to panic and make a dash to the main road. The man follows us around one more turn when he randomly stops. When we are about 1 block away from the main road, we make it to the main road and go inside to the McDonald's and tell our friends what happened and make sure they take the main road back home. We all arrived at my friend's house safely and talked about what happened. Rachel tells us when she noticed the man, he was only about 5 yards away from her. Her fight or flight mode kicked, and that's when she decided to book it. This scared us so much because we have all heard stories of people being kidnapped at late hours of the night due to the game Pokemon Go. I think about this story a lot, and I'm so thankful I've never downloaded the game, to be honest. I can't imagine what would have happened if I might not have been there to bike Rachel home that night. So, creepy bike man dressed in all black, let's not meet. "3 a.m. fire alarms." So, this is just a short story I thought I'd post on here. It's not too eventful, but it is creepy nonetheless. So when I was 14 years old, my family and I moved into a new house in the middle of nowhere. Actually in the middle of nowhere. At the time, our house was one of the 3 others in the entire subdivision, and they were all pretty decently spread out, because this was a primarily agricultural part of town. There weren't many streetlights either, and the roads themselves were pretty unkept. Anyways, so one night around 3 a.m. in the morning, our fire alarm went off. My dad rushed upstairs to get me and my sister, and we all met in the living room by the front door. My dad said that the fire alarms may have been incorrectly triggered because there was no fire and no signs of carbon monoxide. We were all kind of shaken up, to be honest, but we decided that it was no real emergency at the moment. Since I was pretty awake at the time, I decided to stay up and watch a late-night movie with my dad. I was also a bit hungry, so I went into the kitchen to make something to eat. It's important to know that there is a big window in our kitchen that shows the next field and the cul-de-sac that we lived on. In the middle of the cul-de-sac, there was a strange car that looked like it was broken down. Now, living out in the country where I lived, it was very weird to see a car that you did not recognize, to be honest, let alone a car parked in the middle of the road with the engine cut at 3 a.m. I asked my dad if he recognized the car outside, and he looked at me. He said no. We stepped outside to get a closer look at the car, and as soon as we went outside, the driver started up the engine and peeled out. My dad and I thought it was pretty weird, to be honest, but it was probably just some kid smoking pot in the middle of the night. So, probably around 2 or 3 weeks later, our fire alarm went off again around the same time in the morning. I immediately went downstairs and noticed the same car parked outside. I told my dad, and he thought that maybe we should call the police. The driver must have seen us. And again, this time he sped off. This continued for a couple months at random intervals. Eventually, when my mom and I came home from school, we saw someone had vandalized our house by breaking out the windows and splattering paint all over the walls. Also, after that, we found the skulls of a few animals in our living room. We eventually freaked out and called the police again, but there was nothing they could do about it. So, in the end, we just had to repaint the living room and replace the windows. After that incident, though, our fire alarm stopped going off. Later on, we were watching the news and saw in the news that someone had been killed in our little town, and at the scene of the crime, there were animal skulls found in the house. It freaks me out to think about what might have happened if our fire alarms didn't go off. And to this day, it still freaks me out to think what might have triggered them in the first place. Regardless, guys, a creepy guy outside our friggin' house at 3 a.m. in the morning. Honestly, let's not meet again. Creepy 4 a.m. caller. Okay. So I work at a 24-hour contact center on the shift team. Most of the call center works 9 to 5 hours, but there is a small team of us here for the after hours. The nature of the call center is that people call for interpreters and we set up the conference. At night, most of the calls we get are from emergency services, but it could really be about anything. We never know what's waiting on the other line, and us shifties have to deal with a lot of strange stuff. But nothing has made my skin crawl more than this one caller that started calling about a month ago. We get the occasional prank call, or even a lewd caller, so I can't really pin down the exact time this guy started calling. About a month ago, I got a call that went like this, and I kinda suspect it might have been him, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's just say even if it wasn't, I don't really want to meet this person either. Welcome to my company name. This is Bell. How can I help you? Silence. Hello there? Is anyone on this line? Silence. Hello? What language? Poo-poo. Me thinking I hadn't heard correctly. Sorry, was that Patsu? No. Where's the language from? Spain. No, I'm pretty sure they speak Spanish in Spain. I'm gonna put my dick in between your tits and come on your face. He breathed heavy down the phone. Me, shocked and laughing, hangs up the phone. And that was that. The first of its kind that have haunted our shift teams for the last month. Another girl on the team hung up a call quite panicked about 2 weeks ago. I heard a lot of the call just on her end, but she was calmly explaining the way our service worked to someone, just saying that we accept calls from non-English speakers as well as agencies, and we can put the callers through a lot of companies as long as they accept our calls and are our clients. And then she stopped talking and said, guys, this guy just got really crazy on the phone. I'm really shaken up. She didn't want to repeat what he had said, but after I told her about my call with the last dude, she said it was pretty similar to that. The next one I wasn't there for, so I don't have the best details of exactly what was said or anything like that, but I was given the rundown of a girl I work with, so I'll try my best to explain this one, because this is where it starts to get really freaky. So, this girl in my team stayed back to hang out with the relieving shift. We were on the evening shift and they were on the graveyard. She said that around 3 a.m. in the morning, this guy started calling and asking for Vietnamese. They would get the interpreter, and then a woman would come to the line speaking Spanish, so they would disconnect the call with him. He kept calling, so they started to ignore his request for an interpreter. Then things started getting strange. He started saying some rude stuff, and then they would hear the keys on his phone being pressed. Now, I brought this up with our team leader, and she told us to trace the calls if we could. Yes, we have call trace, which is pretty cool, but side note. So they kept him on the line and started to trace the calls, but then they realized he was transferring the call, or conferencing and another call or something like that. The phone started ringing like the sound when you call out to someone, and then someone answered on the other line. Hello, 911, what's your emergency? The really strange thing about this is that we are not in the USA, not even close to the USA. It's kind of hard to make conference calls if you don't know how to. It's also kind of hard to find an international number for 911. Normally, if you dial 911, it redirects you to the country you are in's emergency services, so we have no idea how he was able to do this. But the guy was kind of putting on a voice, so it's hard to tell if he was American at all. Although a detail that happens makes it kind of obvious that he is American. He never stayed on the line to finish the call trace. So, the girls at work ended up saying sorry and explaining the situation to the 911 operator. They were as freaked out about it as we were, to be honest. But the conference didn't collapse. If the caller who made the conference hang up, then the conference would collapse. So this guy just stayed on the line, listening to these people from 2 different countries try and work out why they were speaking to each other. Other calls that night I've been told about was one when they heard a bomb countdown timer. They weren't sure if it was live or if it was a recording, but it sounded like 10 seconds until detonation, and then started counting down. It never finished the countdown. The call just cut out before that. He also called a police station in America and conferenced us to them, and then just hung up on the line, not even saying anything. But I'm not sure on the details of that one, so I'll just leave it to that. A few days later, we started our night shift rotation, and I'm about to explain what happened only 2 nights ago, so it is still pretty fresh in my brain. At about 4 a.m. in the morning, the girl I work with, pretty calmly I might add, yells out, "Oh, it's this dickhead again," and then puts the phone on speaker so we can all hear it. What I heard on the other line made my eyes water and my skin crawl. In the most horrible voice, deep and rusty and almost like a whisper, coming out of the speaker was his horrible voice mixed with horrible words. "I'm going to kill you." Everyone froze. This was pretty creepy, even for us. Then, immediately, he transferred to another line. This time he didn't stay quiet. An American man answered the phone, and let me just throw in there that he had really awesome manners and accent. Their conversation went like this. "Hello? Hi. I'm just calling in relation to an Xbox you put up on Craigslist." "Oh yeah, it comes with 2 controllers and some games." They had a conversation about the Xbox for a few minutes until, "I'm gonna stick my dick up your ass." "Excuse me, what did you just say?" "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get my dick and rub it all over your face. Do you like that?" "Oh dear Lord, why you say that? That's nasty. Oh no, child." And then the call cut out. I was in line for a call, so my teammate warned me, and as soon as the last words left her lips, my phone rang. "How can I help you?" "Oh hey, what's your name?" "I want you to help with something. What's your name?" "My name is Mel." "Can you fuck me, please? Come here and fuck me." "Fuck you. I'm gonna kill you." At this point, I put it on speaker. I was supposed to mute it, but I'm not sure if I did, because I was trying to figure out how to trace the call. And he said, "How do you call trace?" And then he hung up. And that's the most recent thing he's done. And if he calls again, I'll make a video or something, because I want to show you guys his voice. It is so fucking creepy. But I also left out which country I'm from, because I'm not really supposed to put stuff online about where I work. They are pretty strict about it. And I've heard people being fired about it before, so I left out all details of the company's name and country I'm from, although it's probably easy to work out, to be honest. It is now currently 2:14 a.m., and I am at work, so there might be some grammar problems, and also I'm a little bad at it anyways, the English. Any minute now, he could call again, and my heart jumps every time the phone rings. So, anyways, creepy 4 a.m. caller, let's not meet ever, ever, ever.